We are back for part two, and just one interesting thing that caught your eye, DK, given that we've got Mark on the show on Saturday at Flemington. What was that, mate?
Etymology. Warming up the week again. Wasn't it a best bet for yours up in Sydney?
The week before.
The week before.
So I didn't take it too well. He was just putrid. Every conceivable one went for about 3 strides when he was asked. Twitter etiquette 101. Never do it, but I did. Vented my feelings about the horse, some real personal insults directed at the animal in question. And of course we see him entered in the back up at Flemington a week later, and I thought...
At the 100 metre mark, there he is.
When I saw his name in the fields, I thought this is going to be the greatest certainty of all time, but it just shows you what a bad horse he is. He couldn't even break the Twitter.
He had everything in his favour there on Saturday. He just posted up to win easily on the back up with the 2,000 metre run on his belt, and he just turned it up. That horse is not genuine.
So he's won one race since he's 3-year-old. It was at Maruya in a Class 1 maiden plate set weights.
There you go. But you've actually got some interesting thoughts on the animal Punting Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
He was similar sort of non-genuine. Well, it's not non-genuine, but didn't you say he's a herd? He's a herd
horse. That was a. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of that sort of concept, but I heard it first from Mark Rhoden, and he said some of them just like to run around with it, and don't have the desire to, that competitive, desire to run past them, he's got all the ability in the world, in his day, Punting Melbourne, but he just doesn't like running past them.
He's a herd horse.
Yes, and absolutely. I've upset some people with that. That's how I see it.
It's strange that you upset people with that. It's the natural instinct of a lot of those horses.
Yeah.
They have to be taught to run past them.
Yep.
And often those horses, when they're young, so they might have a 10 starts, it might be a 10-start maiden or whatever. Once they win one, they often win 2 in a row. Because they go, oh, right, now I get it, you know what I mean? But then if they've won races, they're already racing at their class level.
Yep.
And they become just running around with the herd.
Yeah.
They'll just keep doing that.
Yeah.
What do you think of them when I'm not sure what to believe when the jock gets off and something's going to piss in and say, oh, it's stargaze and got lost in front. Yeah. And you think, are you thinking them all good? That's because of that thing that's going to improve. I'm thinking, I don't know if you find the line.
Yeah. Sometimes if it's a greenness issue.
Well, it is young horses, maybe, but I'm thinking, I suppose that goes into your history of the horse, what you expect from them. You're thinking, you've had your birthday. Jock said, it's stargaze, it might go on.
If you're going to back those horses, you need blinkers or you need a stand-over jockey. I mean, I love seeing Noel Callow on those type of horses because he just makes them, they just go and they don't
go.
He's in control, I'll do what he's asking me. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, if Noel was, more consistent in his behaviour, I assume, right? He would be the best jockey in the start. Like, he's just he's an incredible jockey.
That was another mark. Was that a mark real one? The getting the horses to go?
Get them to go, yeah.
Get them to go. Which I spoke about on the last show with Chapard.
Yeah.
In the derby from Pat Maloney to John McDonald, Jamie.
There might not be anything technically wrong with the original ride.
That's right.
But,
the elite riders.
Yeah.
It's just a feel thing, and like you said, when Craig Williams engaged with Behemoth and that, you've got the horse to go, you've got the horse to fly.
Switched on.
Yeah.
That's jockey, and I'm finding that with Linda. Don't give away too much, but Linda, that angelic spirit was a good lesson.
Yeah.
And Southern Turf at Kyneton and things like that. These horses, when they just get them travelling in beautiful rhythms in front, and then they go to another jockey or a different circumstance or something, they just regress. They regress.
I remember in my very early days of concentrating on Sydney racing, Beedman was the king and rode for Hawks and. The ordinary Wednesday meetings, Canterbury in the middle of winter or something, or whenever, the same horse would start evens or 5-4 for Beedman and win by a neck. And if Rodney Quinn was riding them, that'd be 6-1 and 150. At least a couple, 2 or 3 lengths difference just on the jockey. And Quinn might not have done anything, terrible on it. It's just Beedman used to talk about getting breathing properly all the time. Yeah. That was his key thing, just rhythm, breathing. Didn't care if it was 3 wide, doesn't matter.
It's all an accumulation of little things.
Yeah.
I'm ticking more boxes for these jockeys, and the more dominant ones just tick more of the boxes. They can get the maximum out of more different styles of horses in different situations, I think. And so, that, in my experience, because I was, the Beeman stuff really predated me betting for a living. But when I first started, it was Nash, and he was so dominant. He could just win on so many different styles of horses in Sydney. And in my time in Melbourne, I haven't seen a jockey that dominant. But you know, in my mind now, every time I find one that I want to have my maximum bet, I almost hope Mark Zara's right.
I was just going to say that Potsy's you're one of his number one fans, and he rode well on the weekend. It looks to be good nick.
Great nick.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the rides he deserves for how few mistakes he makes.
Yeah.
He just doesn't make many.
Yeah.
So on the last show, DK, we were I was talking a little about some races at Moonee Valley, and I was just talking about, you know, there was an edge in our Luca, and the market confirmed that. There was one with Behemoth where it made a blue, and the market told me it made a blue. And then there was 5 Kingdoms where the market was pretty neutral, but it sort of, the race, if you like, confirmed my thoughts, but the SP said maybe you've been a bit aggressive there. So it's that tug of war between the SP and the actual race, which is only one event. So I just thought my intention that day was for us to talk a bit more about those edges and so forth, but the guys turned up and I got more worried about having a beer and a steak. So I thought we'd continue a bit now. Like on one of the podcasts you did with the Winning Edge guys, you talked about, in certain circumstances, waiting for the market to confirm what your analysis is telling you, and being prepared to take slightly shorter odds, but
with more confidence.
With more confidence.
And it's. I mean, you're betting into the pointy end of the market. So what are you making your judgment anymore?
Probably, but I don't like to see first uppers drift. Although there was a horse at Hawkesbury yesterday that I didn't have top pick, but I had about $5 or $6 chance, and it opened up about that and started at $14. You know, and the first upper, that's when you assume 99 times out of 100 that the market's telling you this horse might be winning, and home it goes. So it's never one size fits all. But one thing I'd say about the market is that it's sort of a different beast to what it was 10 or 20 years ago. In that when you see money for a horse, in the old days you'd assume there was some sort of tip in the stable, or the connections driving that tip, and that's just not the case now. The syndicates just don't care about that. So it's
the ones that really shorten these days, in my view, and DK first started discussing this on the show years ago, is the map.
Yeah,
they're the ones that they just they always mark them way shorter than I could even. So in the Luca example, it was $4.80 or $5 in the early betting, right? It ran $2.20.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing my analysis, I mark it like 2 to 1, but the market's saying 4 to 1. Right? So you think you're being aggressive, but in the end, because it was a map situation, the market just goes way beyond where you would have gone. And it's happened again on Saturday with Chamois Road.
Chamois Road, yeah.
So
similar flux, wasn't it?
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
There was one in Sydney on Friday night, which actually ran last. I backed it and gave it out at around $6. It was Canterbury Night Meetings. The rail is just embarrassing. It's dynamite every meeting. Yeah. But this drew wide was going to the front, and I think I backed it around equal topic around $4.20, and there was $6. So it was a bet. Recommended it as well.
Cool.
Star arriving, and it started $2.60. And it missed the start, and then Karen decided to drag it back, so the ticket took confetti after 2 strides. It was, and sat like 4 wide run last. It was meant to be straight to the front. But obviously, the syndicates had the same map as me.
Well, there's the early markets, particularly in the country, which was probably exposed, they're going up off. The corporate bookies have just got some ratings. So they're just going up on those ratings, what the horse have done, with a guess on first uppers and first starters and things.
Yep.
And then the sort of the analysts of us, so to speak, and want to trim them up, and then they just move towards the models, and the aggressive stuff, ladies, is completely map.
There's 2 things happening, DK. So what the protection for those corporates that are putting those early markets up are the 25 to 30% in their markets, right? So that's slowly coming out of the market to get down to say 110.
Yep.
That percentage is coming out, but the overlay on top of that is stuff that the models really like, shortening certain runners and completely dismissing. So something that might have been 20s, all of a sudden it's 101 on Betfair and stuff like that. So that knocks out 5% of the market and bits and pieces like that.
But just to return to something you were saying just before about certain types of horses you want to see a market lead for. I'm just saying that because the market's just controlled by those smaller groups of people now, in the old days, for instance, if you wanted to back a first upper and you go, oh gee, I'd love to know if this was fancy by the stable, the market's not going to tell you that.
No.
You know, just in the raw numbers of the market moves is not going to tell you whether the stable fancied or not.
It's only on, and that's why people put so much emphasis on. Like this. Again, you want to see money for first up horses. So is that? I reckon that's coming off past history. What I've seen when first up winners have backed. That's you go back to like the computer models love apples for apples. Mm-hmm. So when horses had a few preps, but we're back to its first up run last prep or the prep before.
Yeah.
If it led or if it was forward on the rail and ran a good figure, then that's what they're looking at apples to apples.
Yeah. So they're backing it anyway. They don't have any information from the stable.
No, that's right. But that'll be a short one because of.
Yeah.
But you're saying people say, oh, I don't want to be on them if they drift. It'll be because they're half fit and probably be midfield, you know, most of the time.
And as that market develops, so as that percentage is being squeezed out and they're getting close to the start, their models are reading that. And if there's no support for the fit horses, then they can latch on to the regime.
The other thing you've got to factor in, which I've been doing this a long time, and it's the market, the models don't miss any, is their paddock parade. They've got very experienced guys with the automated things feeding their paddock parade thoughts. So when things are expressed in the market, and Terry Bailey, he's one race caller who does identify out of the yard, says this is fat as a pig, you know, and it's expressed out in the market. Well, that's because that's feeding back to these very, very sophisticated computer models who, you know, and things play up and things like they know. They've got guys there watching these horses, so it's nothing sinister. It's the horse mind. The horses is saying it's hard fit, it's playing up in the yard. They know that, you know. And I think it's another thing you've got to
understand that the models tick every box in a way. Like whether it's they put a lot of work into paying their programmers to continually update the factors and how they want them weighted and everything. So it picks up things automatically that might only occur to us, you know, somewhere for our process. We've all got databases and a base to do our work from. But in the end, we've got to interpret that information and condense it into a price. Whereas their thing's just constantly updating us. And they have got the resources to have those people on calls looking at them in the yard, and that's feeding into their model. So you've got to...
There was one day, sorry. Oh, you go.
No, I was just going to say that sort of leads to another point, that it's very hard for like an independent analyst like we all are to compete with them as prices. They've got their technical expertise at weighting the relative chances of each horse is beyond ours, really. They can feed more factors in. They're stronger mathematically, you know, a number of reasons, which is one of the reasons I don't, and haven't for a long time, strictly bet the prices. And people have asked me that, you know, you've marked this $4, you're taking $3.50, how can you do that? And I said, well, because I'm not confident enough to say that I can give you the 200% chance of each horse in a field of 14.
Yeah.
But I do know that if my top pick's $4 and my next pick is $9, these win out a lot of the time, and I'm prepared to pay a small premium to be on it. You know? So it's more a bet signal thing than an exact probability when I price. That's why I'm explaining it to people now.
No, I think that's 100% wrong. Yeah. Particularly when you're doing it in some form of document. That's a fixed, static piece of information that is only current at the time you send it out.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of additional information by the time the race starts that those models have taken into account. So it's almost it's why you've got to overlay the market on top of your assessment and be prepared to make some adjustments and try and understand why it's happening, and then whether you want to react to it or not.
Yeah, you're happy or not. Yeah.
I'll give you a prize example, just going to memory then. There was a horse called Kevlar Kid. He was in a maiden, a 975 maiden at Swan Hill. And I think he either tried like a Learjet or he ran some time leading in his first start. He was the leader in this race. He was $1.70, and they put him up $1.70 off those ratings, and he was attractive to people if you just looked at the race. So he was $1.70. So I didn't know that I was busy and whatnot and things like that, but then I just sort of started getting out. On the last 10 minutes on Betfair, they got him to $4, and he stood in the gates. And then Kev Casey, I heard someone said that horse played up terribly in the mounting yard.
Yeah, right.
And then wouldn't get out, wouldn't leave the gates. Yeah. But it's not people on course, you know. It's that
information
feeding through to big players who can just soak up every. They just would have said this horse has got no.
It's taking up more than 50% of the market.
So that's what can happen.
All right, boys, that was a great discussion. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Oh, yeah, this will be our last show probably for the year.
We'll come back in the new year.
But Yeah, thanks for coming on, Rat.
Oh, my pleasure.
Good to catch up again.
Good to be here as always. Thank you.
You said also Cochin Soda on Twitter, one of the more
Yes, if you want to get stuck
intertwining
in.
racing Twitter followers, especially after 10 goals down in a Richmond final.
Final, yes. Clocked off at half time that night.
With Adam Blinko, one of the main Tiger men on Twitter, but yeah, follow Mark, Cochin Soda.
Good stuff. So we've got Caulfield Wednesday, another twilight.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some really good meetings coming up. Flemington again Saturday. What have we got in Sydney?
Wyong Provincials on Wednesday, but we've got the Christmas twilight on Friday at Kensington.
Yeah.
So that'll be right.
Some good racing. Good. This is the time of year I love betting. There's always lots of
opportunities.
opportunities. So
Yeah.
pick your mark and back a winner, punters.